having me here today. I'm really excited to share our case study with you and talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done at Udemy to really maximize our learning efforts. Now, before I get started, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about myself. I am the head of learning and development at a company called Udemy, and I'd just love to get a pulse from the crowd. How many of you have heard of Udemy before? Oh, wow, like most of you. That's wonderful. Well, if you haven't heard of Udemy, we are an online learning marketplace, and we have a Udemy for Business offering that is something you can use to help upskill and reskill your workers. Now, what's really cool about this for me is I'm the head of learning and development at Udemy, so I get to be the head of learning and development at a learning company. So it's a dream job. It's an absolute dream. Every single day I walk into work and I get to do pretty incredible things. It's amazing that this is my job. But I also get to think about how organizations, like yourselves, think about learning and how you use Udemy for Business. Now today, I want to talk about how you can learn at the speed of business. And the case study that I'm presenting, I want to show two techniques and two methods that can really help you take those learning programs to the next level. Now, let's start with just a little bit of level setting. Today, we are experiencing a rapid change like we've never seen before. And this is happening for every single role, every single area of your company. Now, this slide shows the example of a marketer. Historically, a marketer would start their career by doing a classic undergraduate degree, right? They'd go to school, and maybe then they'd say, hey, you know what, I want to do some more. I want to learn a little bit more about marketing. And they might do an MBA, or they might do some kind of master's degree. And that would sustain them for most of their career. But today we are seeing a completely different experience. A marketer has to know how to use a stunning array of technologies. If you look at this slide, there's just a few here that, I mean, if I'm honest with you, I didn't even realize were marketing tools at all. Snapchat? I didn't know Snapchat was really a marketing tool. But today's marketer, your modern marketer, needs to know how to use that. And they're certainly not teaching that in your undergraduate degree. And that's changing constantly. Every single day, new technologies are emerging, and you need to learn quickly to prepare for your next role, your next project. And this is happening for every single one of our roles, including those of us in the HR space and the L&D space. So this example is a real thing for every single person that is trying to take their career to the next level. And that means we have to think a little bit differently about how we as organizations develop our employees. But it's also good news, because it means that HR and L&D is needed more today than it ever has been before. We're essential. We're absolutely needed to help through this rapid skills transformation. There's no getting around it. We need to continuously develop. In fact, there's two pretty interesting statistics I want to share with you. We did a survey. It was our Udemy Skills Gap report for 2018. And 80% of employees say learning new skills would make them feel more engaged at work. And first of all, can we just stop and marvel at the fact that 80% of people agreed on anything? I think that's pretty stunning. 51% of them said that they would leave a job that doesn't have significant development and learning opportunities. They'll find a new company. They'll find a new role. Now, that's the situation we're all in, and that's the opportunity that we all have. But with that, we have to remember that our employees have shifted their expectations of us. They engage with content every single day of their lives. I mean, think about your day today. You've been on apps. Maybe many of you have listened to a podcast, watched some media on your phone, watched a video. That's changing the way people think about learning and development and how they expect us to deliver it to them. In fact, you could say that their expectations are of a consumer-grade experience, They don't want to wait for the old school approach to learning and development, where we would take months and months to develop a program or a course and launch it. They want the learning they need right now, in the moment they need it. And as HR professionals, as learning professionals, we need to provide that kind of consumer-grade experience. The same way they expect their Netflix, they expect their learning. Now today I want to talk about 2 techniques, just 2, about how we can learn at the speed of business and really connect it to our business objectives. The first, I want to talk about just a couple of marketing tactics you can use to help establish a learning culture. And the second, I want to talk about an example of an innovative program using cutting-edge technology to help achieve business objectives. So, let's start with the first one. Let's talk about marketing. I mean, it was the example I used off the front of this deck. And let's talk about how we can use it to build a learning culture. The first thing I want to talk about is a program that we launched at Udemy I'm very, very proud of, called Deal Hour. Deal Hour stands for Drop Everything and Learn. Now, I work at a company that spends its day thinking about learning. It's about a mission to improve lives through learning. But I still have to give people permission and make space for them to do that learning. So we launched a program called Deal Hour, and Deal Hour really is 1 hour on the calendar a month where we ask everybody, including our CEO, including our executives, everyone at the company to learn. And they're able to do that through the Udemy for Business platform that has thousands of courses that they can select for themselves. And I don't mandate it. I don't tell them which course they have to take. I suggest a couple of them. I say, hey, this is an interesting course you might want to take. But they get to choose. It's an opportunity for them to drop and focus on their development, because that's really important in today's day and age. One of the other initiatives that we do at Udemy is something we like to call learning fairs. And it's very similar to Deal in that the entire company stops 2 times a year for an entire day. And we bring in instructors, many of them from the Udemy platform. Some of them are local experts, and some of them are employees. And we have them teach courses and give people an opportunity to stop, reflect, and focus on their growth and development. Our most recent one was a wellness fair, where we had sessions on everything from fitness to meditation to goal setting, stress relief, and sleep. It's an extremely popular initiative at Udemy, and the signal the company gives by stopping for a day and saying, hey, it's time to learn, is incredibly important, especially as we think about marketing. Because we want to think about how we give that impression to an organization that we care about this. One of my other favorite techniques is FOMO. And if you don't know what FOMO stands for, it stands for fear of missing out. And it's one of the techniques that social media uses to keep drawing you back in. It's why you want to check those posts on Facebook or wherever. So we use the same technique with these initiatives like Deal and like our learning fair to really drive engagement. We show people having a great time. We talk about how many learners were participating. And sometimes we even talk about our programming as though there's only a few spots left, and there's only a couple spots at all. And we really try to drive people by saying, oh, this is a pilot, and we don't know if we're ever going to do it again. And that FOMO really gets people in the door. Now, the truth is, if people want to come, I'm probably going to make space for them. But I definitely want to lean into the space is there, but it might not be if you don't hurry. One of the other techniques that we use and we borrow from marketing is celebrity advertising. In every organization, there are those people who are incredibly influential. There are those senior leaders who have a ton of impact with their words. We use those executives to promote our programs. I'm constantly using them to share an initiative or talk about why a learning program is valuable. With our deal hour, we have our CEO and our executives share the courses that they're learning and tell people it's time to learn and it's okay to learn. In fact, I want you to. We use these celebrities with most of our initiatives because, let's face it, what's better than a celebrity selling your product? Another thing we like to do at Udemy is really tap into contests and incentives to get people moving. But we don't do this with every single initiative. We try to be very intentional because with incentives, you want to make sure you're driving the right behavior. One of the examples I have here is how we used a feedback program. We call it Feedback is Fuel. And we created a contest where people had to seek feedback from 3 of their colleagues, just 3. And with that, they were entering themselves into a contest to win a possible Amazon gift card. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how you can use technology to drive really captivating and innovative programs that meet your business objectives. At Udemy, we were thinking a lot about onboarding because we're growing really fast. We're all across the globe. And we knew a couple things were true. Most people think their onboarding across the world in all companies could be better. We also knew that when you do a good job of this, people tend to be more committed. In fact, 12 times more committed. And when people make a connection at work, when they have a buddy or a friend, they're also 50% more likely to feel a strong connection to the company. So we decided to focus on this. We wanted to engage employees with our mission, share some knowledge about Udemy and who we are, but really importantly, we wanted to create opportunities to bond. And we decided to do this with a very cutting-edge technology, augmented reality. And we did this for a reason. It wasn't just novelty. It really was pedagogy. Augmented reality is uniquely able to help us do a few things. It really does allow us to share with one another. So we created a game called Udemy Go. Are you all familiar with Pokemon Go? Yes, you go catch Pokemon. Well, we decided to create a game where people went out hunting welcome balloons, the same balloon that new Udemites find on their desk on their first day. So we created this scavenger hunt, hunting down these balloons with games and opportunities for people to connect while learning about the company. Now, this is a couple of screenshots of what it looked like, but this is a multiple choice question about where our company was founded, Ankara, Turkey. We also had a couple of questions about our company's mission, teaching people along the way what it's like to work at Udemy and why we're all here. Now, this is a really interesting program, but it has to have impact. You can't just do this because it's fun. Well, we were really excited to see some very important impact come out of this program. New employees reported a 4.6 out of 5 on an increase of knowledge about Udemy in a survey we did post the event. We also measure NPS at Udemy. Net Promoter Score, which is a measure lots of companies use to determine if someone out in the world is a promoter or a detractor of their brand. We use that for our own programming. Now, good thing to know, anything above 0 is good score, anything above 30 is excellent, and anything above 50 is world class. We achieved a 54. We were extremely proud of this. And I am so pleased, remembering that stat about how important it is to build connections at a company. We know we built lasting connections, and I'll show you more on that in a moment. I do want to highlight that there's some important learnings. At Udemy, we have a lot of people who are very social and like to connect, but we also have some very competitive types. And you have to be careful when you build a game like this that it's not just competitive, because it will demotivate your socialites. We also had to be careful to design the game so that it truly was evergreen. Sometimes an org changes or an executive comes or goes. That's an important consideration when you build an experience like this, so you're not constantly rebuilding. And then I always recommend test the technology and then test it again, because we did our tests with a small group of about 10, but we ran the game with over 60 people. We should have tested with a larger group. And once we did, we learned a few things that changed how we ran the game. But I said I'd show you the connections we built, and I think this is perhaps the most meaningful part of this experience. You can see here selfies people were taking in the augmented reality game. And what better way to connect with one another than a selfie? We had people share things that they wanted to learn on Udemy. We also had people share languages they spoke and just interesting facts about themselves. They took selfies with the Turkish flag because, again, we were founded in Turkey. And it was a really, really exciting way to get people to connect and bond. And when you think about the classic onboarding, typically in a classroom, people just listening and being talked to, this completely shifted the game. It was a completely different way to captivate and engage our employees, get them excited, but actually achieve our business objectives, which I'm not sure the traditional onboarding would have done. I want to cap us off here and just remind ourselves that employees aren't a captive audience for L&D anymore. They have so much coming at them every day with media. Their expectations of us are higher. So we need to think like marketers. And we also need to think about innovative and captivating ways to meet our business objectives instead of just relying on some of the old tricks we used to do. So things like augmented reality can really help us. Now with that, thank you very much. And I'll take any questions if you have any. Thank you. Yes. Looks like there maybe is a mic coming around. Oh, it's going to be thrown. Let's hope you can catch it. And I only have 30 seconds, so I think I can only answer one or two. But I'll be available after at the Udemy for Business booth if you'd like to chat more. Yes.
Hello? Oh, great. Cool mic. Okay,
yeah.
thanks. So platforms like Udemy and so forth, I mean, it brings a tremendous amount of education that's available at an affordable price on the cloud.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
So my question here is, if you're looking at the skills that are, how organizations are upskilling their workforce,
yes.
right? Up till now, they've traditionally gone through the traditional routes to get new employees through universities or whatnot. But this is challenging that whole thing, the whole university model.
It is.
Right? And how do you see things like this challenge, like how do you see universities be able to sustain themselves when they're charging 50 grand a year for tuition?
Yes.
How do you see them being able to sustain themselves with platforms such as Udemy?
Well, I don't know that they can, and I think part of the reason we exist and we're so successful is because they're not meeting people's needs. You walk out with a degree, but not necessarily the skills. And our goal is to really improve lives through learning and prepare employees for whatever's next. And I don't know that that's the same mission. So I don't know that there's an answer I can say because I'm on the other side. I'm on the side saying, well, let's disrupt this. Let's actually prepare people for what they need to do. And that's what we spend every day doing. Well, thank you for your question. I think I do have to end there, but I will be at the Udemy for Business booth. If you have any questions, please come by. Or if you'd just like to hear more about us, please join us. Thank you, everyone.